Hi and welcome to our channel, where we delve into the economics and finance that impacts our everyday lives. Today we're diving into a topic that has been dominating global headlines, which is whether there will be a recession in the United States. In this video, we'll analyze the current economic indicators and trends to get a better sense of that question. So let's jump right in. First off, to understand the concerns surrounding a recession, we need to examine two key factors: inflation and monetary policy. Inflation rates in the United States have soared to levels not seen since the 1970s and 1980s. Core inflation, which is a measure of price increases that excludes energy and food, went from around 1% annual growth rate during the peak of the COVID-19 crisis in 2020 to more than 5% last year. That is, the rate at which prices is increasing is 5 times higher today than just 3 years ago. For reference, the Federal Reserve Bank, who is responsible for managing the U.S. inflation, targets an inflation rate of around 2%. Why did inflation rise to these levels? We basically got unlucky. A number of factors culminated to get us to this point. First off, during the peak of COVID-19, when the majority of the country was in lockdown, the government eased fiscal policy to help get us through it. We got government checks and other benefits which many people did not spend, but instead put towards savings. When lockdown restrictions eased, this meant that people had a lot more money to spend. At the same time as the world opened up, we were faced with supply chain disruptions, which were only exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. The drivers of inflation are complex and not always fully understood, even by experts. But on a high level, the rise in inflation is due to a culmination of pent-up demand and supply-side disruptions. This happened across the world. And as inflation continues to rise, central banks face the challenge of maintaining control and managing the public expectations for inflation. The typical strategy involves raising interest rates to curb spending, investments, and wage demands, which can lead to a slowdown in economic growth. And that is exactly what has been happening. The U.S. Federal Reserve Bank has raised interest rates from 0% in 2020 to 5%, and is projected to continue increasing them to at least 5.5%. But what has the impact been on the economy so far? When it comes to inflation, we are finally seeing signs of it coming down. The latest figures have showed core inflation moving from around 5% to 4.6%. That is still high, don't get me wrong, but it is moving in the right direction. Related to that, we are also seeing wage growth coming down gradually. But when it comes to the unemployment rate, or growth overall, it is proving remarkably resilient. The unemployment rate is still below 4%. The U.S. GDP growth is still strong, and higher frequency indicators for economic activity show that the economy is doing well. So what does all of this mean? It is still early days, but right now, it looks like the Federal Reserve Bank may be able to get inflation down without actually generating a recession. We think that is because instead of laying off workers, many companies have just stopped hiring additional workers. Remember the Great Resignation phase right after COVID-19? Where people were quitting jobs for better pay, or even working 2 jobs at once? Well, that period is coming to an end, and instead, employers are getting the upper hand again. What that effectively means is that people are still employed and receiving paychecks, but their external job opportunities have become less favorable. While this shift is disheartening, it does not necessarily signify a recession. People are still employed and getting paychecks, at least for the time being. If inflation persists even with interest rates at these levels, the possibility of a recession remains on the horizon. But right now, the economy is experiencing a cooling period, and inflation is showing signs of easing. That means a recession may be avoided. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up and follow our channel. Till next time.